Hello, everyone. As promised, doing a 10 years on testosterone update. So today is the 19th of February. On the 18th of February, 2024, was my 10-year anniversary of being on testosterone. It's really, really kind of crazy to think about because I remember in the years leading up to, months leading up to starting testosterone, I was watching so many videos on YouTube of people who were on it, and there were only a couple of people back then, posting videos who had been on testosterone for like 8 years, 9 years, and I just remember thinking like, that's a long time away. I'll be in my later 20s by the time I'm 10 years on T, and it just felt like such a lifetime away. And to be in this moment now, where I'm at, is pretty incredible for somebody who really truly did not think that I would live past 18 years old. Like 18 years old was such a monumental thing to think about. I was a young teenager, a young kid when I learned what being trans was, and I was a young teenager when I finally accepted that part of myself and started to tell people. And things were really, really difficult emotionally, mentally, physically for me for a long time. And so to think that I'm here now, thriving, not just surviving, not just living, but thriving and happy and at peace with myself, is really something I'm proud of. What I've done for myself in terms of my medical transition and my social transition and everything, is one of my greatest accomplishments at this point in my life, because this is something I did for me. It was not for anybody else. It was not for, this was something I did to save my own life and to be true to myself. And I am so, so proud of myself for the resiliency of getting through this process and coming out the other side of my medical transition, and just going out into the world and existing, because that's not always easy. In fact, it's quite difficult to do that. And I had a very, much more privileged experience in terms of I was quote unquote passing prior to being on hormones, as a boy. For the most part, I was very rarely misgendered, and that. But even still, with that being a fact of my transition, I struggled a lot, and I really, really, hunkered down and focused on my transition to make sure that I was going to build a life for myself that I could then, live the rest of my life. And that's what I've been doing. And for me, the first step of my medical transition was testosterone. And I remember so much of that time. And I was recently rewatching a bunch of my videos. Every once in a while, I'll watch like one. But a few months ago, knowing my 10 years was coming up, I was feeling nostalgic and started watching. I probably watched like, I don't know, 20 videos of mine, just at various stages of my transition that I was updating on. And that was over 10 years ago that I started this channel, and I was 16 years old, and I had already at that point known I was trans for a while. I had been out for a little while, and so I don't have anything to look back on of like prior to that. But even just, seeing myself at 16, 17 years old, and then the years to follow, I'm just so proud of myself. And I feel really, really grateful to my younger self for going through all that and getting through all that, and really just setting me up for success at this point. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And if you watch my last video about my phalloplasty update, my 5 years post-op, it's same sentiment. I'm just really grateful. I'm really at peace, and I'm really um, just excited for the future at this point. So a bit of a like physical update in terms of testosterone. Um, I don't know when I last updated like specifically about testosterone, but I was on patches for a while until the patches were discontinued because the company that made them no longer exists. So I rode that out until I couldn't get any more patches, and then I switched back to injections, which I had not done at that point in like over 4 years. So I switched to subcutaneous injections, which I had never done before. I was on intramuscular prior to switching to androgel and then patches. So I figured I don't think I will ever go back to intramuscular injections. I don't think I'm capable of doing that anymore. It just stresses me out. It was causing me a lot of pain, a lot of anxiety, which is why I went off of shots in the first place. But subcutaneous is okay. I still don't love doing it, and I still sometimes I can inject immediately, and sometimes it takes me a little while and some deep breathing to get to it. But for the most part, it's definitely better than intramuscular, and I would highly, highly, highly suggest to anybody who is doing injections, like just do subcutaneous, unless you have very, very, very little body fat, and that's going to somehow cause you more pain than an intramuscular injection. The subcutaneous is significantly less invasive. The needle is so small, it doesn't make it not scary if you're scared of needles, but it certainly softens the blow a little bit. So the other thing that when I switched back to shots, one of my friends told me about these shot blockers. It's Bionics shot blocker, and it's meant for like healthcare professionals to. You're supposed to like put it. If this was like my upper arm, you're supposed to like put it there and press firmly, and then do the injection in the center here. It's got a bunch of little spikes on it, and basically it just is a sensory thing to trick your brain into focusing on all of the spikes spiking into your skin rather than the needle. So your brain can't really tell sensation-wise where there is a needle because you're being punctured by a bunch of little spikes. Because I'm not doing my shot in my arm, and because I'm doing it myself and I'm doing it subcutaneously, I don't actually inject into this part just because of the way that I have to hold everything so I can inject properly. But this does still help me. I find that I inject in my hip fat. I was injecting in my stomach for months after starting up back on shots because I had a lot of fat on my stomach. I'll get to this point later, but I lost a lot of weight, and so now the shot in my stomach kind of hurts, but I still have hip fat. So I've been doing it in my hip, and it's been going really well. But anyway, because I pinched the skin, I basically just use this as one half of the pinching of the skin. And then I just do the shot on the part of the skin that's like, pinched upward. So I'm not injecting into this spot, but even still, just having this does help. I've found personally that it lessens the puncturing feeling of the actual needle for me. These aren't cheap. Through a local organization, we got them to order a pack of like 50 of them because that was about $100 for 50, and then we were distributing them to folks who needed them or wanted to use them. And but if you were trying to just purchase this on your own, like I think like a 5-pack or something is ridiculously expensive. But if you have a local organization that you can request to buy them, or if you have a bunch of trans friends who want to get together and just, go in on it, and because you don't need 100 of them yourself, and I certainly wouldn't spend the amount of money on only like 5 or 6 of them that they're asking for. We just got them off Amazon, I think. But anyway, it's plastic. It's like a hard plastic, so I've just been disinfecting the thing. it's not touching anywhere where the needle's actually going anyway. So I don't think it's, I'm keeping it clean, but so you can reuse it. Yeah, so that's been helping me with the shots for sure. Back to the weight loss situation. So I gained a ton of weight after, well, not a ton in relation to me. I don't gain, and my weight doesn't fluctuate very much. It never really has. But after bottom surgery, being bedridden for months, and then just not being physically active for a long time because I was in pain still and bleeding and all these things, I gained a significant amount of weight for me. And then after finally feeling, normal again after about a year of healing, COVID hit, and then, like everybody, gained more weight. And so I was carrying that weight for a long time. I felt really like not good. I'm not necessarily the most active person, but I do walk a lot, and I am pretty like mobile. And so I felt heavy, like a heaviness of just my entire everything. Like I was more tired, and I just felt really unhealthy. I was also eating like crap, which I always have my whole life. But now that I'm getting older, I need to really be thinking about what I'm putting in my body. And so anyway, I started really, really committing myself to not losing weight. That was never the goal, actually. I just went, I need to feel better. And my mental health was plummeting for various reasons. And so I just felt like I want to get outside. I want to get into nature, and I just want to feel better. I want to stop feeling winded when I go upstairs. I want to just like I'm too young to be feeling this way when I'm, there's nothing stopping me from making these lifestyle changes. And so anyway, I started walking even more than I was before. So I walk on a given day. I'm walking for about an hour and a half at least on like a work day. On weekends, I walk about maybe 5 hours in total, because on Sundays I usually do a 3-hour walk in the morning. Saturdays I usually walk for a couple hours. And but yeah, I just committed myself to just going out, and I bought a pedometer, not a Fitbit, not anything connected to the internet. It is literally just counting my steps. It has one button to reset it, and that's it. And so I bought that, and that significantly changed everything for me, because I decided, I started with 7,000 steps as my goal per day, realized quickly that I was surpassing that every day anyway, and then just decided 10,000 steps a day is what I'm going to get. And that's unless I'm really ill or I'm in a lot of pain, if my back is acting up or whatever, but 10,000 steps a day is what I'll get, and anything excess of that is a bonus. So I get 10,000 steps a day, and then usually on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, I'm usually above 20,000 steps. The most steps that I got, I did a 12-hour walking challenge thing that a coworker was like, "Have you heard of this?" Anyway, that day I got 65, just a bit above 65,000 steps in one day. And so I've just been really challenging myself to push myself out of my comfort zone, and really just get outside every day. I get up regardless of work or not, because I get up before sunrise for work Monday to Friday, but on weekends I've just committed to getting up just before sunrise, and then I go for a walk, whether it's a 5-minute, 10-minute, 3-hour, doesn't matter. If I'm not getting up for work, I'm getting up before sunrise, and I'm going for a walk while the sun is rising. And that's really been beneficial for my mental health. It's been beneficial for my physical health. I'm getting fresh air right in the morning. I'm waking up, and then I'm coming home, making myself a nice breakfast, and then going about my day. I started a sport group a couple years ago, and it's been going great. I'm not involved with running it anymore, but I attend it, and that is something that's really important to me. I've started playing sports, and something I've never done before. I really had no interest in sports at all for most of my life, and I just decided that I'm horrible at sports. I understand that, but I wanted to get involved and get active, and so I've been playing a lot of tennis. I've been playing a lot of badminton and pickleball. Lots of other different types of sports, dodgeball, floor hockey, basketball, all this stuff too. But my favorites are badminton and pickleball and tennis. And so, yeah, bought a tennis racket for $3 at a thrift store, found a tennis ball in a field, and just started. I have a friend who plays tennis, so we were playing together a little bit, but most of it was just after work. I would go to a local school and hit and just whack the tennis ball against the wall for hours at a time. And that was really, really good for my mental health. I was really struggling at that time in my life last summer. And uh, just doing that, I could go there. It was allowing me to think. It was allowing me to decompress. It was really getting me out of my comfort zone because I don't like to do things in front of people. And, the local parks are all really busy. People are always there. Kids are always there. And for me to go there and do something physical that normally is really embarrassing for me to be doing that in front of people, but just going and committing myself to doing that several times a week, and just the little kids are heckling me, or people are walking past me, and just staying in the zone, focused on what I'm doing and not caring what other people are doing around me, has really helped in a lot of aspects of my life, with my confidence and my just ability to exist unapologetically. Not necessarily towards others, but towards myself, like just allowing myself to exist and not worrying so much about what other people are, watching or not watching me do, um, is really uplifting and really powerful. And I'm excited for the weather to get warmer again, so I can continue with the tennis practice, because yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of it really works up a sweat. And in the last year, uh, I've lost like 14 pounds, and like I feel like myself again. But this is the first time since I've had bottom surgery that I'm at a weight that is comfortable to me and that feels good. And so I just feel so much more confident than I ever have, because having bottom surgery did boost my confidence once I had healed enough, but then the rest of my body felt so out of place because I was never used to being that heavy. And so now that I'm at a comfortable weight, I'm eating a lot healthier, and I feel physically just vibrant. In addition to now having the body that I worked really hard to get in terms of my medical transition. But I just feel a confidence that has never existed before for me, and it's exciting. I'm 27 now, and I'll be 28 at the end of this year. But I just turned 27 a few months ago, and like I'm just excited to, enter my 30s in a physically healthy state, and to be starting these habits now. And then just continuing that forward, and yeah, I'm quite proud of myself, and I feel really good about a lot of the lifestyle changes I've made. The food has made a big difference. I've been cooking a lot for myself, and incorporating a lot of vegetables and a lot of things that I just never ate before. I was very picky. I've cut back quite a bit on the amount of sugar, not enough, but I'm trying to work on that, and you know, I have good days and bad days with when it comes to cake and ice cream and brownies and all that stuff. I just need to continue working on that piece, but at least now the food that I'm consuming is good. It's just the amount of desserts I'm consuming still needs to be pared down significantly. But yeah, it's a work in progress, and that's kind of just generally life altogether. But yeah, I feel physically really good, um, better than I've ever felt, um, honestly. And because before testosterone, and then even while I was on testosterone, I was very thin, but it was not a healthy thin. There were a lot of reasons why I was that thin, and they were not good reasons. Whereas now I am slimmer, but I also have a lot more muscle, and I have a lot more just like just more energy and more consciousness about taking care of my body in a way that I've never really had before. Um, so that's just something that's newer in my life, and that's really exciting to me. Um, the only other real change that I've been experiencing still this far in with testosterone is hair. My facial hair is finally growing in reasonably. Um, so I have it a little long, sort of here. I shaved all this off, but um, it still grows really kind of patchy and scraggly, but for the most part, like it's connected now. Whereas before, I had a huge bald patch here, I had a huge bald patch underneath, and I'm getting the only mustache hairs I have are like just on the ends here. It doesn't connect or anything, so I just shave that off. But I am excited to have this all connected now because it wasn't, and that I attribute to the shots going back on injections because. Um, I just hadn't had a lot of luck with my facial hair, and going on injections, we upped my dose a bit, and my testosterone levels now are, since starting injections again last year, my testosterone levels are slightly, just slightly above the average range for someone my age. So they are higher than I normally would like them to be. However, the changes I've seen with my facial hair over the last year and a bit, since being on this much higher dose than I'm used to, has been beneficial to me, and I pay attention to my body really closely. And if I'm seeing any negative side effects of that I would attribute to being on such a high dose, like I would cut the dose immediately. And I know at least that with this higher dose where my levels are at, and I know that if I reduce the dose, that I'm still going to be in that healthy range and I'm still going to feel good. Because when I drop down to the lower end of that range, I know what I feel like in it. I have no energy. I'm constantly tired and grumpy and everything. So I don't feel any kind of surges of aggression or any kind of other, like an increase in acne or anything like that would make me want to lower my dose at this point. But it is something that's on my mind. Once my facial hair continues to grow in a bit more, and it's become more steady, then I intend to drop the dose down because I don't want to be on a higher dose if I don't need to be. But at this point, I want to keep it where it's at, to get the facial hair to grow in nicely. And the other thing I'm getting now is a bit of chest hair. I had a bit before, but now it's actually growing in the center of my chest. And if I wear a shirt, like a V-neck shirt, there's hairs poking out now, which I don't mind. I'm a pretty hairy person, so the fact that my chest was like this one bare spot where everywhere else on my body is just covered in hair, has always been kind of funny to me. So the fact that there's hair growing in now is just like, took you long enough. I just expected it would come in at some point anyway. So it is kind of nice to see that and to feel like, I'm not like a small teenager or anything anymore. Like it looks good to me. I like that it's coming in, and it's manageable. It's not overly excessive. Maybe it will get that way at some point, but I think that it was time for it to come in. So it's not something that's bothering me. The other thing that I have noticed, the other thing I noticed with the larger or the higher dose of testosterone, is my libido is higher, which makes sense. But also, I think that I attribute that to the fact that, again, I feel physically healthier. I like the way my body looks now at this point in my life more than I ever have in my entire life. And therefore, like, I feel more attractive, and therefore I feel more confident and excited about going into the world in that sort of way. And so, yeah, my libido is higher, and I attribute those two factors to that. Something that is interesting to me, though, and that I've only noticed, I don't remember this being the case before, but I was also a teenager, so I think I was just horny all the time anyway. But and then with the uh, daily dose of patches or gel, you wouldn't notice any kind of highs or lows because it's a stagnant sort of dose that you're getting every day. Whereas with the shots now, I've noticed that the like four days or so before I do my next shot is when my libido is the highest. I don't know what that's about. I would have assumed that the highest point would be like just after your injection, the few days after your injection, when your testosterone levels are the highest, that would be when it is. But I've noticed pretty consistently over the past year and a bit that once I hit like upcoming 4 or 5 days out from my next shot is when my libido is the highest. And I do my shots every other week, just for context. So it's that's just something really interesting to me, that those 4 days are just like the worst for that. But when I would have thought it would be kind of the opposite. But anyway, just an interesting tidbit that I don't know why that happens, but it does. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything regarding my transition. I think that I thought that there would be kind of a sadness, um, like almost feeling like a loss of like community or something once I kind of like finished my transition. Because for all intents and purposes, for me, I think my medical transition is over, um, or is finished. Like, I've gone as far as I want to go at this point. And I thought there would be kind of like a sense of like, I don't feel trans anymore or whatever, because now I've done everything that I needed to do for me. And there's like this narrative, especially back when I started transitioning, about, you get to the finish line so that you can live like a cis person and be normal. So you do all these things and you're trans in this, period of your life. But then once you finish, getting all the surgeries, then you go on to live a normal life. Right. And I think that was the narrative that was fed to me back then and to everybody back then. Things I think have changed a lot, or I know have changed a lot. But, I thought that there would be a sense of loss of like, oh, I guess I'm not part of this like community anymore because I'm not actively within my transition. But that's just not the case. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I feel a lot more in tune with the community. I feel a lot more present, because I now have the mental space to do that and be there, and to find joy in other people's transitions. I've been finding a lot of joy and a lot of nostalgic feelings for the people in my life, whether they're friends that are around my age or the younger people that I've been interacting with through various like outreach work that I do. Of interacting with parents of young trans kids and teenagers who are the age now and going through the things I was going through when I was 14, 15, 16, as a young trans teenager. And like, it brings me so much joy to get to be in like the orbit of these people, because it just takes me back. And I think that like, as hard as that time was, I'm now at a point, I'm at a distance from it where I feel so nostalgic for it. And I feel a lot of joy um, about it, and about this whole process, and about everything I did for myself, that like getting to see these kids who, in some respects are struggling in the same ways that I was, so they may not see it right now in their life that this is a good thing, or that this is something to be proud of, or to live in the moment and experience. Because I remember what that was like, that pain and that waiting period, and that, parents not understanding and all this kind of stuff. But I just hope that I can be a hope for those people, those families who are going through this with their kids right now. And it brings me a lot of joy to be even in their lives for an hour, speaking to them in a room, as a guest speaker, to just say, like, this doesn't have to be um, a devastating thing. It can be painful, and it probably will be painful for everybody involved at certain aspects or at certain points in the process. But it can also be something filled with joy and excitement and euphoria, and these kids can go on to be successful and to be happy and to find people who love them and to find people they love and careers they're passionate about, and all of these things that, like, I was told were never going to happen for me. Um, it's just wrong. Like, it's just not true. Um, and to be able to be that person, to go in that room, say to these parents and these kids, like, I'm here, I exist, I'm happy, and I live day to day now with not thinking about my being trans every second of every day, but it's always there as this, like, feeling of pride that I just never, I don't think I fully felt until recently. Um, and that's something that's really been bringing me a lot of joy, and I feel very connected to the community in that way, even though I feel like my, specific medical transition journey is over. I feel so much more connected now than I ever have, to this experience, because I can look at it fondly now, as opposed to an experience of pain or dysphoria or anything like that. And I feel I feel at peace, and I feel like there is hope despite some of the scary things going on in the world surrounding our community. I do feel like there's hope, and I feel like there's a lot of beauty in this process that people on the outside can't see, and that only we as trans people will ever know. And I just I feel overwhelmed with just like this mundane feeling of peace, that I get to just live the rest of my life, and that this is something that I can just look back on and be like, I did that for myself. And over 5 years, I had 3 major surgeries, and I've been on testosterone now for 10 years, and it'll just continue to compound, and I'm excited to see where I'm at when I'm 37 and I've been on it for 20 years, right? Like, that concept is just so mind-blowing, and I'm so grateful and so thankful, for everything I've had the opportunity to do, and all the people I've met through this process, specifically because I'm trans. The people's lives who I've touched, the coworkers who have trans family members who are who come to me for guidance or whatever. Like, it just brings me joy to be able to be open and to be present and to be an example for people. And that's not to say that everybody in my life knows I'm trans and every coworker knows I'm trans. That's not the case. But over the years, there's been quite a few colleagues of mine who have either trans children or trans siblings or whatever, that you just kind of find that out, and then they find out about me, and they're like, this is such a beautiful connection that we have because of this experience. And yeah, it's been really great. I moved out on my own recently within the past 6 months, lived with my family for over 26 years, and finally just I'm at a comfortable place for myself where I was able to move out. I live on my own now, and I feel like this is the start of a new chapter of my life. I changed my career last year as well. So 2023 was a big year for me. I changed my job. I moved out, and I quit every volunteer job that I had. I've been actively weekly volunteering with the community for over 10 years, for 11 years at that point. And then I just started to scale back my life. And then now I'm at the point where I'm going to build back up and figure out what I'm passionate about, what I want to be doing, what brings me joy and brings me peace and happiness, and who I want to surround myself with. And yeah, I really I tore a lot of things down in 2023, and 2024 is a year of rebuilding for me. I've made some really great friends over the years, and I'm just focusing now on cultivating those friendships and keeping those people in my life, and really letting people that are around me know that I care about them, that I have time for them now, and that I am putting an effort into maintaining relationships with people. Where work and my volunteer stuff used to consume my life entirely, I'm now trying to make space for my personal life. I go to work, I get off work, I don't stay late ever anymore. I come home and my time is my own. And I'm really excited for what's to come for me. And I don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but I've started laying the groundwork for just a new chapter for me. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at. Thank you to everybody for watching. For those of you who've been around for a long time and have been watching my videos for a long time, I hope that they've brought you some answers to questions, or brought you some peace within your own journey or transition and whatnot, or given you some insight about the different experiences I've had. I am really glad that I've documented this process, because to be able to look back 10 years ago and see where I was at and to see where I'm at now, I remember a lot of things, but it is different to hear myself speak and to see myself in these videos, and really see the difference between where I was then and where I am now, but still see the seeds of all of that, like, just starting to bloom at that point, whereas now I see the fruits of all that labor. And yeah, I'm not a different person, but I'm certainly I've certainly changed a lot in the past decade. But I see myself in my younger self in those videos, and I see the work I did back then is really, really paying off today. And I'm just really, really proud of myself and my resilience back then. So yeah, I think that even if it's just for yourself, I highly recommend, whether you post it publicly or not, I do highly recommend doing some kind of video diary for yourself, so you can really look back on this experience. Because even in the moment, if it's like the worst day you're having, turn a camera on and talk about it. And, a decade from now, you look back and you can reminisce and see, all the work you put in that long ago, to get you where you are, now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know when I will do another update. I'm not going to make any promises. I think that if anybody has something they want me to specifically speak to, or you have a video topic or something that you would like me to discuss, by all means, leave a comment. And if I am feeling up to it, then I will make another video. But yeah, I think that I will make another video at some point. I'm not going to promise when that's going to be. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful year. as well. So thanks.